Hello everyone and welcome back guys to the penultimate video on F1 2020. Yesterday we are back with our My Team Career Mode Season 6 Round 15 from the Mexican Grand Prix. Episode 134 and just 2 races to go here of this entire series. If you missed out on the last video yesterday from the US Grand Prix, I would definitely recommend going back and checking out another brilliant race. And of course, if you missed out on our F1 2021 content as well, we did the first episode of our new Breaking Point series as well on Wednesday. Go back and check both those videos out. They will be linked down in the description as well for you guys. But yeah, heading though to the Mexican Grand Prix, let's have a look at the championship standings then as we head into this one. We could be world champion today. All we need to do is make sure George Russell doesn't outscore us by 2 points, Pierre Gasly doesn't outscore us by 4 points, and we will walk away today as victors here with 1 race to go at Brazil next time out. Constructors is a little bit closer at the moment there. Mercedes still 16 points clear as we head into the penultimate round of the year. That AlphaTauri just 2 points behind us as well, looking incredibly strong at this late stage of the campaign. But hopefully today, the Mexican Grand Prix, it's often been quite a good track for us on F1 2020. Will we repeat that this time round? Heading out then for Q2 for the Mexican Grand Prix then. We want no dramatics in the final couple of weekends of the year. Like we said, pretty much from Belgium onwards, we just needed solid results between now and the end of the year there. And with the field spread being so tight, it really does mean consistency is absolutely key at this stage of the year. It's like watching the first half of, or pretty much the entire 2012 season, of course, with Fernando Alonso being so consistent throughout a lot of it, but Sebastian Vettel coming through with a quicker car at the end of the season there. We've gone out for our first run in Q2 on the mediums. Don't think it'll be enough to get us through into Q3, but we may as well try and get our eye in and scrub up the set as well for the race. It is quite funny when you look at the deltas in Q1. We were so much quicker through Sector 1 than pretty much anyone else, but through Sector 3 we're losing all the time again. It's going to be a 12.5 for our first Q2 run. It might be enough to get us through, but again, I'm not going to risk it. Well, as a matter of fact, a 12.5 is nowhere near fast enough to get us through into Q3 here. You can see even Giovinazzi in his Williams has gone quicker than me at this stage of the session there. But getting ready though to start our final lap. We've actually got a bollard under the front wing. There we go, finally got rid of that. Don't want to do that on our qualifying run. Let's just wait and see what we can achieve then once more around this Mexican Grand Prix circuit. They reckon the softs are about a second a lap faster than the mediums. So yeah, we need about 7/10, I think, to get through. We're a long way up as we head back down in towards Sector 3 of the lap there. Hasn't been the tidiest run in the world, but has still felt pretty quick. And like I said, as long as we can get down into sort of like a mid to high 11, we should be pretty good here. 8/10 up as we head around the final corner. It's going to be pretty much 9/10 up as we get to the line. And 11.6 is a pretty good time there. That is P3 at the end of Q2. So pole might be on the cards today. There we go. Ooh, Carlos Sainz out of nowhere, fastest in Q2. That's genuinely surprised me. 11 cars separated by 0.2 of a second though. I mean, Lewis Hamilton 15th place there. 3.5 of fastest in Q2. That is how ridiculous it is at this stage of the year there. But both Mercedes out in Q2 for the Mexican Grand Prix. They're not necessarily a bad thing, I'll be honest, around this circuit. But the gaps are just insane at the end of this series there. I mean, you've got from me in third down to Charles Leclerc, 17/1000ths of a second separate 5 cars. F1 2020, it's delivered something mega in this final season, but let's get into Q3. Right, heading out then for our first Q3 run. We've got a little bit less time on the clock than I would like, but I wanted a nice clear track ready for this first run here. Hopefully, if it's not particularly great, then I'll probably just box at the end of the lap there. But yeah, we need about an 11.3 and 11.4, I reckon. Oh, that's not a line through turn 1, though. Yeah, I reckon 11.3 and 11.4 should be good enough for at least the front row, but again, people might pull something out of the bag. Really good run through Sector 2 that time around. They're purple in both the first 2 sectors, but again, just getting a little bit overconfident down in towards Sector 3 here, and this is where all the time goes away, they exceed. We've just got so much top-end speed, but nothing through the low-speed corners there as he head round the final corner, down towards the line. Shortest run at the final corner there. All that curb, and it's still an 11.4, and that is still fastest at this stage of the session. Right, let's ride on board then with our final Q3 run then. Still currently fastest there, but the likes of Albon are closing in less than a tenth of a second between myself and Alex Albon as we get ready to start our final lap of qualifying here. We'll know if anyone's gone quicker than us. We'll know how much time we need to find as we head out of the final corner then. This could be a very, very special lap here on F1 2020. We could be world champion today, but if the last couple of Grand Prix are anything to go by, it can still be very, very unpredictable when we get into the race there. Slam on the anchors just at the 100-meter board for turn 1. That was a much better line that we got in our first run there. As we take a lot of curb through the first couple of corners there. 3/10 up as we head out of Sector 1 there. That was absolutely beautiful through that first sector there. Again on the anchors at about 100-meter board into Q2. Just trying to let the car rotate through the corners. Don't want to overstretch the front end there as you try and open up the exit of the corner. Oh, come on, that's not particularly brilliant there. Dropping about half a tenth on the way through. Full commitment in towards the S's there. We do run a little bit wide there, pick up a warning, but we'll get away with that. Someone has gone faster than us as we come towards the end of Sector 2 there. That was pretty good. Again, not as good as my previous run. They'll brake just as you get over that curb in towards the stadium section here. And again, just try and keep it nice, clean and tidy there. Oh, that's not exactly the line we wanted. A lot of curb there and settles the rear end on the exit of the corner there, but final corner down towards the line. It's going to be 4.5 tenths up. Is it going to be a 110? Yes, it is, and surely that's good enough for pole position.
Fantastic. You've got pole.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three. Mr. Monaco, Verstappen and Alexander Albon. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race.
Well, Max Verstappen certainly pushed us hard there, 3/10 quicker than anyone managed to in Q2, but somehow, out of nowhere, a 1:10 around the Mexican Grand Prix circuit. That is absolutely ridiculous here on F1 2020 there. You can see the rear of your top 10 there. Perez down to Danny Kvyat, separated by, what, a tenth and a half when all is said and done there. So still insanely close by a lot of cars here. But first and fourth on the grid, we're in prime position this weekend. There, George Russell, not even in Q3 as well, though. I completely forgot about that. Surely, just like football this weekend, Formula One's coming home.
Welcome along to the most popular city in North America and home now to the Mexico City Grand Prix. It's a sellout crowd as usual here at one of the shortest circuits on the Formula One calendar. So who, I wonder, will the crowd cheer on today to the top step of the podium? The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right and the remaining 7 going to the left. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today from the midfield teams, all trying to put some pressure on or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you know, you got your own race to run. I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Albon, Leclerc, Sergio Perez and Ocon, Stroll, Norris, Sainz and Daniel Kvyat, Joe, Russell, Luca Giotto and Gasly, Hamilton, Giovinazzi, Kimi Raikkonen and Nicholas Latifi, King, Matsushita, Magnussen and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
No, Jeff got nothing to add. Ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. Nothing about we could win the title here today. anything like that. No, just nothing from Jeff ready for this one. But we are here then, ready on the grid for the Mexican Grand Prix. Strategy looks pretty straightforward. Soft, medium, soft. To try and get us through to the end. We're going to underfuel the car as always by just a little bit here, of course. A lot of straights, though, around this circuit. So we're not going to go too aggressive with the underfueling. I better actually select the correct strategy as well, of course. But hopefully today we can keep it clean and tidy and try and get through to the end of the Grand Prix here. We've got a lot of cars around us, though. Things are going to get spicy as we head down towards turn 1. Let's dive into it then here for the Mexican Grand Prix. Verstappen alongside us, Albon and Leclerc with Perez just behind. It's 5 red lights and it's lights out and away we go. Ooh, big kick of oversteer in third gear there, but we do get the power down. So we head in towards turn 1 then. Nowhere near as well though as Max Verstappen, who storms straight into the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. They will have to hold it on the inside line down towards turn 1 as well. Charles Leclerc cuts completely across us there. Perez, Albon and Leclerc 3 wide as we head through turn 2 and turn 3 there, and Leclerc gets squeezed now over the curbs on the exit, so not a particularly brilliant start for either of us in this Grand Prix there, but we have lost a handful of spots at the start of the Mexican Grand Prix. Can we fight back as we head down through turn 4 and turn 5? Yes, we can. We got yellow flags. I'm guessing that's some Constantina and up at the rear of your field there, but we do hold on to P4 then off the start of the Mexican Grand Prix there. Sergio Perez, though, home Grand Prix, never scored a podium here before. Could this weekend be his weekend there? Renault really haven't had a car for most of the year, but they finally brought it back in the last couple of Grand Prix there. You wouldn't believe it with Raikkonen's performances, but yeah, still, Sergio, if I'm sure he wanted to get a podium anywhere this year, it would be here in Mexico. Anyway, Max Verstappen, though, leads at the end of lap 1. Albon P2, Sergio Perez in P3. Let's just wait and see what that pace in that Ferrari is like, because at the moment, we would still be world champion. We don't need to risk anything here at the moment, as George Russell and Pierre Gasly both had torrid qualifyings. Coming towards the end of lap 3, we have now got DRS, of course, enabled in this Grand Prix, and sticking close to the back of Sergio Perez. The Renault, though, doesn't seem to be losing much time to Albon at this stage of the Grand Prix there, as you can just see, heading through those final couple of corners. Got nowhere near the same grip as those guys. Let's just use some battery out of the final corner. We'll see if we can get a good run on Perez back down towards turn 1 there. But look at that Renault. That thing is a missile down the straight. Still obviously left Renault power a couple of seasons ago and have seen a lot of success with Honda. But you can see that Renault power unit applying the pressure to the Honda in the back of Albon's car there. Big lock-up from the Red Bull man through the first couple of corners. Can we get a good run on Perez on the exit of turn 3 here again? He's going to have the DRS on Albon as well, of course, so maybe we'll need Perez to go for something on Albon, as all he goes a bit defensive. That opens up the room around the outside, and can we do what we did to our teammate lap 1? Yes, we can, and that is going to be an open invitation, and back up into P3 of the Mexican Grand Prix there. Sergio Perez has been read like a book in that situation, but Verstappen already 3 seconds clear. Albon with no DRS should be a much easier target than Sergio Perez in this Grand Prix, as we're still setting really good consistent PBs at this stage of the day. But let's just have a look. How much can we close up to Albon? Look at the run we've got down towards turn 1 there. It's not even going to be a competition. It's all Albon. Not too sure what that was down in towards the braking zone. We just brake a little bit late, but make sure he can't get to us, as we're now up into P2 of the Mexican Grand Prix there. So 2 overtakes made inside a lap, as Verstappen now only 2 seconds up the road after all that DRS and ERS usage. There we go. New fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Team saying new strat though. No, we'll see with what we've got. But yeah, now we can really try and start just slowly reeling in Max Verstappen once more in this Grand Prix. He had a brilliant start, and I'm hoping that Ferrari doesn't have the same pace we saw from him at Kota, utterly dominant in the wet at the US Grand Prix last time around. Quite a surprise actually from Ferrari. But yeah, I really thought that might mean George Russell could try and claw it back in the final 2 races, but he's still sat in about P14, I want to say, in this Grand Prix. What on earth has happened to Mercedes and AlphaTauri this weekend? If ever you wanted a sign of just how competitive F1 2020 is at this stage of the game, there are 5 different cars from 5 different teams inside your top 5, and bearing in mind, the likes of Renault and McLaren haven't had a podium all year, I don't think. Oh, Charles Leclerc into the pits very, very early in this Grand Prix. Not too sure what that's all about from our teammate. Mark picked up a little bit of front wing damage. Not really great for our constructors' standings though, but again, AlphaTauri and Mercedes have really dropped the ball this weekend. Surely we can take the lead in both championships for the first time all year come the end of this race. Unless, of course, we get a safety car. We're only a quarter of the way through. Not too sure whether to pit this lap or try and extend the stint by one more. We might do whatever Max Verstappen doesn't do in this Grand Prix. The tyres don't feel brilliant, but they don't feel too bad either. So we head around the final corner. What's Verstappen going to do? He's going to pit, so we're going to try and go for a one-lap overcut here. We might have just picked up some DRS on him. No, I don't think we have, unfortunately, as we head back down towards turn 1. But for the first time since the start, we do inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. Everyone else in the top 5, though, diving in. So it is going to be Esteban Ocon that now moves up into P2 of this Mexican Grand Prix. But only for a lap or so. Let's just see if we can close it to Verstappen, though, through the power of the overcut. I've just come back down towards turn 1 and completely forgot to pit. I can't believe I've just done that. I guess we're going for a 2-lap overcut on Max Verstappen. Not often do I actually forget about the pit stop on F1 2020. I've almost missed it a couple of times. But yeah, that's the first time I've done that, I think, in a very, very long time at the very least. Right, remember to pit Matt this time round. I almost forgot about it again as we head around the final corner. Oh, just get it slowed down as well. Almost forgot about the pit lane speed limit as well there. But as we head down in towards the pit lane, I don't think Verstappen's gained... he's definitely gained on me. But it hasn't been by too much. I don't think over the course of the couple of laps there. I was a bit gutted he didn't get stuck in some more dirty air at this stage of the Grand Prix. A 2.7 second stop is pretty shabby as well from the team. As Verstappen, yeah, new fast lap of the Grand Prix, is definitely going to be out a little bit further ahead, as he's actually gone out on another set of softs in this Grand Prix. So we have gone for a bit of an alternate one then between myself and Max Verstappen here, as well as the likes of Albon and Perez. Norris has gone the same way as us, which is reassuring to see. But yeah, now over the next few laps though, we're probably going to lose some time to Max Verstappen. Our eyes firmly settle again on the car behind us at this stage of the Grand Prix, as Albon now, yeah, starting to apply just a bit more pressure again in this race. Not too worried if he does get the jump on us, but as long as we don't lose time squabbling with him. Oh, I think this is going to be the lap. Here comes Alex Albon as we head back down towards turn 1. Like I said, we're not going to fight it, as long as he doesn't slow me up at all. As we head back down towards turn 1 of this Grand Prix, that Albon does move himself back up into P2 there, a little bit slow through turn 2. We have to get off the throttle, and we really didn't want to there. But yeah, back down to P3 then of the Grand Prix. But again, we're playing the long game. We don't need to risk it at all for the Drivers' Championship still. Of course, I'd love to win another Mexican Grand Prix here on F1 2020. I think we've won at least... I think we've won 2 before from the back of the grid. Never mind, I think we might have won 3, maybe? Maybe over the course of this entire series in this My Team. But yeah, I'm not sure whether it's 2 or 3. But yeah, would love to put another one on the board. Could be down to the last stint though, depending on how quick those softs rubber in for us and how much, if any, time's lost for the other guys battling around in traffic. To be honest, Albon's got past us, and I think his soft tyres are slowly starting to go off again in this Grand Prix. Really hasn't pulled away there, apart from that small mistake from us out of the final corner. So we'll see if we can try and get a run back on him. Probably won't be down in towards turn 1, probably going to be turn 4 in this Grand Prix, but yeah, not too sure what's going on with that Red Bull. Like I said, I think it's just the tyres starting to go off again. The AI really only able to take the softs 10 or 11 laps for the most part. But anyway, let's just see, can we get a run now on Albon, or are we not going to be close enough to really go for something clear-cut? No, we're not. So we'll sit back for another lap there as Purple through Sector 1. Oh, a big lock-up from Albon. We lock up trying to avoid him there. This is not helping either of us, buddy, as Verstappen is just going to continue to extend that margin at the front. We got yellow flags out as well. Who is falling to the wayside in this Grand Prix? Is it going to potentially be championship defining? It's one of the Alpha Taurus, I think. Is it Kvyat? Is it Pierre Gasly? This could make or break their campaigns as we head in towards the final Grand Prix of the year there. I think it's Kvyat. I want to say it's Kvyat. He's got a much slimmer chance of the title. No, it's Gasly! Out of the Grand Prix there. We got a virtual safety car. So I think about pitting, but I don't think it's worth it still. But Pierre Gasly out of the Grand Prix and out of the championship hunt then. Heartbreaking way to end his season there. It's certainly been his best campaign on F1 2020. He's been so strong, so consistent. But it's just not going to be Pierre Gasly's year there, as now it pretty much becomes a 2-horse race between myself and George Russell, but he's still nowhere in this Grand Prix. Verstappen leading. He's battling the Williams down in like P14. So at the moment, it's all still looking peachy for us. Oh, Albon into the pits at the end of lap 20 there, just as we were going to be able to get a big run on him back down towards turn 1, but Verstappen's still in the lead of this race. What are the teams saying now? They want us to go 1 lap extra on these mediums, but I don't think it's worth it. We may as well try and utilise the softs for as long as we can here. I'm actually thinking about trying to go 1 lap early onto those softs because the mediums just aren't that fun round here, but we'll wait and see. Oh, there we go, 1 lap later, Verstappen into the pits as well, so we will re-inherit the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix here. Verstappen on mediums to the end. Like I said, we're going to try and pit in a couple of laps and get those softs to the end of the Grand Prix and try and close back down that margin. Is Verstappen going to end up in some dirty air? He's going to come out between the racing points, I want to say. Is actually no, Lance Stroll has dived into the pit lane there. So Verstappen comes back out in P4, 15 seconds behind us. Oh, we got more yellow flags out though. Is that George Russell falling to the wayside here? Have we had 2 of the biggest DNFs? Yes, it is George Russell out of the Mexican Grand Prix there. So the 2 guys that had a good chance of stopping us in the World Championship here have both had mechanical failures in the Mexican Grand Prix. Their heartbreak for George Russell and Pierre Gasly just around the halfway stage of the Mexican Grand Prix there. And now there's only 1 man, I think, mathematically, who can stop us claiming the title. That's Danny Kvyat. And, I mean, he had to outscore us by like 20 points today. I mean, we've been gifted it. As long as we don't do anything stupid. I mean, even then, Kvyat's not going to be able to score enough points. He needs to win in this Grand Prix there. I cannot believe the scenes on F1 2020. But now, we can just bring this thing home. Right, we're going to dive into the pits then at the end of this lap, as long as I remember. We're definitely going to get jumped by Verstappen though, and I think we're going to come out around Albon between him and Sergio Perez in this Grand Prix. So we are going to have to absolutely claw it back if we want to win here today. I'll be honest, it would still be nice to win the Grand Prix, just so it feels like we've done enough anyway. Not the way I would have wanted to win a world title though. I can't believe both our big rivals with mechanical failures here. George Russell, that's the 2nd time in this series a mechanical failure has cost him a decent shot at a world championship. But yeah, 10.5 laps to go here from Mexico, and it's all looking good. Just coming up to the Haas and the Alfa Romeos there, who despite 24 laps in are all still nose to tail in this Grand Prix. Really has been a difficult campaign for the pair of them. But into the pits we go. Make sure we don't speed. And yeah, Verstappen though is going to be a good sort of 7-8 seconds ahead of us there. Albon's lost some time though over the course of this lap, so we might be a little bit closer to him than I originally thought we would be. But we got, yeah, 10 laps to go here from Mexico, and we are just going to try and push for the win. 2.6. What is up with the team pit stops at the moment on this game there? But heading back out of the pit lane, how close to Albon are we now going to be? There is the Red Bull. Going to duck in for some slipstream, I think, unless we've got the legs on him. Look at that. That Red Bull has got nothing top end. I thought we'd have to duck into some slipstream there, but Albon can't even put up a fight as we head back down towards turn 1 there. Verstappen, though, 8 seconds clear in this Grand Prix. We're going to have to push qualifying laps to the end. Almost down into the 112s in this Grand Prix. And if ever there was a way to show Max Verstappen, we are coming for you, buddy. That is certainly it. A 1:13.002. The gap already down to less than 4 seconds here with 8 to go. Max Verstappen has led so much of this Mexican Grand Prix there, but as we start lap 30, I think the inevitable is about to happen here in Mexico City there. Verstappen, I'm pretty certain, still yet to win a Grand Prix this year, and unfortunately today, looks like it's not going to be his day. So we head back down towards someone. They're making big gains in the braking zone. They're almost pushing Verstappen through turn 1 and turn 2 as well as turn 3. They're out of sector 1 though. We've got a big old run on Verstappen. Is he going to go defensive? Oh, we have a look at the inside. No, Verstappen having none of it this time round. They're completely slamming the door shut. He's lucky we bailed out of that one. But yeah, surely next time round we'll see Verstappen in our mirrors. Yeah, again, practically pushing Verstappen out of the final corner this time round. Surely we're going to be close enough to go for something. Back down towards turn 1 here as we head in towards the final 5 laps of this Grand Prix. Oh, Verstappen! Oh, that was a bit of a late move in my eyes, especially with the DRS open. If we turned any more aggressively there, we probably would have over-rotated the car. But up into the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. Let's get this thing home, and let's get world title number 5 on the board. Oh, how the tides change for a driver like Jordan King there. One race ago, we were battling him for points with just a few laps to go. This time around, once more, the Alfa Romeo back to where you'd expect it to be. And we are lapping him in this Mexican Grand Prix there. 3 to go here from Mexico City. Verstappen now 4 seconds back. Looks like for the second race running, he's going to finish P2. Well, just 1.5 laps to go here from Mexico, and I'll be honest, been doing a bit of reflection of F1 2020 throughout this Grand Prix. My team has been an absolute game changer on this one, and I haven't had much success, I'll be honest, in career modes in the past. I mean, if we look back, I haven't won a title in 2017, don't think I did in 2018 or 2019, and somehow on F1 2020, we are going to walk away from the main career mode with 5 World Championships here. There's been so many rises and falls over the course of this series there. Season 1, of course, was the intense battle between Mercedes and Ferrari. There are a 4-way scrap in the final race of the year there. Season 2 was the downfall of Ferrari and the rise of 212 Motorsport there, of course, managing to clutch up later on in the season to get the gap over Valtteri Bottas and claim our first World Championship. Season 3, the domination. Pretty much won, I think it was 20 of the 22 Grand Prix that year there. Had a car that was masses faster than anyone else in a titanic battle with our teammate George Russell over the course of the year. Season 4 was the revive, or the renaissance of AlphaTauri. They're finally starting to put some groundwork in to prove themselves as a threat there. Season 5, yeah, was, again, Mercedes and AlphaTauri tried to throw everything at us, but we still had a car too quick. But Season 6 has been so unpredictable throughout the most part there, and as we head in towards the final corners of the Mexican Grand Prix, I honestly thought halfway stage George Russell was going to walk this one. I thought we were finally going to get one away from us at the end of the year there, but a crazy move to Ferrari that I think has been summed up in this Grand Prix perfectly there. Good chance at a championship, thrown away by poor reliability and poor management there through the final corner. It's not the way you want to win it, but we've certainly done everything we needed to today. We win here in Mexico for our 5th world title.
Fantastic drive, and it means your driver's world champion. What a result. Enjoy it.
It's certainly been an incredible year for Formula One, and our drivers have all pushed themselves this season, making it one of the most compelling years of racing in history. There can only be one champion, however, and here they are now, our new Formula One World Drivers' Champion. Not just victory today then, but the championship as well. What a spectacular season they've had. Congratulations to the whole team. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
I'd say it was down once again to good, consistent driving, nailing the corners, working to the track conditions and perfecting the team's strategies. They got all of these things right today, and the results speak for themselves.
Let's focus on the driver of the day. Anthony Davidson, who do you pick?
Well, there was a lot of incredible driving out there today, Crofty, but if I had to pick someone, it's got to be Sergio Perez. Fantastic driving. I know that's at odds with the official decision, but I think they deserve some recognition on a day where both of these drivers are at the top of their game.
Let's move on to the constructors. The owner-drivers team moved to the top of the table. Another team that will be satisfied with this Grand Prix is Alfa Romeo, whose good result moves them further up the championship. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Well, there we are then, guys. The end of the Mexican Grand Prix, and on paper, it might look like quite a simple one there. Pole position, fastest lap, race victory, the full 26 points. But anyone that stuck around will know Max Verstappen certainly did give us a run for our money over the course of that one here today. He led, let's be fair, on paper about 30 of the 36 laps there, but once more Verstappen coming through as the bridesmaid and not the bride there. Albon in P3 ahead of Perez, Norris, Esteban Ocon there, Guan Yu Zhou, Lance Stroll, Sainz and Charles Leclerc, a disappointing end there, I'll be honest, down in 10th place there. Still finishing ahead of Danny Kvyat, Giotto and Lewis Hamilton there, so 3 of the guys we really did need to beat this weekend as well, obviously right down the order. You can see the rest of your finishes there, and just George Russell and Pierre Gasly not making it to the checkered flag there. How heartbreaking is that for them as well? The fact that they couldn't even... I mean, they weren't really going to be able to do much in that Grand Prix anyway, but the fact, yeah, in the end, that reliability is what cost them, I'm sure really, really does sting for those 2 drivers. It does, though, like we said, mathematically mean 54 points out of nowhere. We lead the championship as we head into the final Grand Prix of the year there. It's ridiculous. I'll be honest, this season I feel like it's probably going to be known, like Schumacher's 2003 and Sebastian Vettel's 2012 titles, as another one in a row. But those of you that stuck around know the full story there, just how hard we've been pushed from George Russell and Gasly there. And yeah, I think, to be honest, 54 points does it a bit of injustice at this stage of the year there. George Russell, like I said, had he stayed at Mercedes, I think he would have dominated the second half of the season in the same way he dominated the first. I'll be honest with you guys as well, but he's still P2 at the moment, 2 points clear of Pierre Gasly. Danny Kvyat still in 4th place there, just 1 point ahead of Lewis Hamilton and 5 points ahead of Lance Stroll there. Still means heading into the final race of the year, there is a lot left to be decided in the Drivers' Championship there. Sergio Perez gets the jump on Giotto, back up into 11th. Any other movers towards the rear of the field? No, that was the only one this weekend there. And constructors-wise, 11 points now clear of Mercedes as we head into the final Grand Prix of the year as well. It does technically mean it's still a 3-way scrap for the Constructors' Championship there. AlphaTauri, Mercedes and ourselves can still wrap it up there as Alfa Romeo, yeah, solidifying themselves ahead of Williams there. Renault now only 6 points behind McLaren as well as we head into the final race of the season. So still something to play for in the final race of the year. But thank you all so much for watching this video nonetheless. If you have enjoyed, do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed. We'll be back tomorrow, ready for the Brazilian Grand Prix. We'll be starting from the back with a fresh engine in the car. You guys do not want to miss it. Thank you all once more. And tomorrow, the final race of F1 2020. I cannot believe we've made it here. Don't miss it. A big thank you to our channel members for making these videos possible. You can be featured in these end clips as well as granted access to some other exclusive perks for just £1 a month by clicking the join button below.